Going on, love, joy. This thing cracking like it is. Hope everything is well with you. That was.
I'm gonna hang around till you get through with your class. Then I'm gonna go back to work. Before tonight, we got the meeting tonight. Yeah, everybody. Oh, yeah?
So you know, take what we want to go there, you can.
Alright.
I was just about to start if I heard that dope there.
Alright.
I'm about to take them on, and then I'm gonna put them on our network, and y'all be able to take them on.
Okay.
That'd be more easy. Right now, I ain't gonna sit down and focus.
Yeah, network outdoors.
It's
It is outdoors. It's on.
I'll be right there doing it.
Alright. Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, have you thought about doing like a RSVP event? Like every time you have your class or have some kind of app or something that RSVP your event so you know how many people come.
I ain't never thought, but that'd be a good idea, though.
Yeah, kind of give everybody a sense of what's happening. You know what I'm saying? If you got some registered people that come automatically, they be on your standing list. You know what I'm saying? And then new people come, you'll be able to see, kind of gauge your participation.
Okay. Yeah, that's I do that.
So let me ask you something. How we've been doing this a month now.
Mm-hmm.
So how long? That's 4 weeks. So how long your course is? 6 weeks, 8 weeks? How long before you start over? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that way it's like series 1, we going back with series 2 and give them 30 days or 60 days, or however, for the spring, or do it per season, however you want to do it like that. Like, let's get a direction and and some structure. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cause it could be just ongoing, especially if you just building. But somebody that missed class 1 and 2, they out the loop.
Right.
Well, and that's why we post the episodes, because we know everybody ain't gonna be able to make it. But that's why I'm adamant about it, because that way I get them a chance to stay caught up. And when they come to class, they won't be like, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand this.
I feel that.
But
See,
that's the
I'm
biggest
proud
thing.
of it. Like, this the first organic class that we started from the ground to build and consistently. Like, I'm proud of it. Like,
And the main thing, me personally, the videos help. However, we really want them in here. That way they can get involved. They
That's
can
right. That's
you know,
right.
be right there and talk and ask their questions.
That's right. That's right.
'Cause most of them gonna be in the comments. You know, you in the comments, you might as well. Especially if you local, you might as well come.
Right.
So,
That's right.
yeah. Here. I see. Yeah. Cause you know, a couple of classes they see on, but then at some point it gets to where.
Let me see what the schedule gonna look like for February. I want to do a program, but it looks like I'm gonna end up doing it myself. February 2nd, 2022, and February 22nd, 2022, them powerful days for women. And I want to do something in regards to that. You know what I'm saying? Have some kind of celebration. Okay, I asked the lady, and she came back with January or something. She wasn't really looking at what I was saying. She just was looking at the opportunity to have an event. So I ain't tell her no. I just okay, but that ain't what I'm talking about. It on that particular date. Like, let me see. So I'm thinking it might be something we can collab on. You see what I'm saying? Okay, when I go to February.
That's a Tuesday.
February 2nd is on a Wednesday.
Oh.
February 22nd is on a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could definitely. Yeah, especially 'cause we talking about it right now. I could put that in on the agenda now.
Let's do something like February on the 22nd of February.
Okay.
It can be in him a daytime class. Some daytime that we got that we want to pack this baby out this little room right here. Put all the chairs in here it can hold, and we hold something for women.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like if the esoteric honor them, not just, you know, hey, y'all coming, we got some Zuzus and Wham Wham for you, but now like label you up if you ain't there, don't know where you at, and it's honoring you if you know where you at.
Boom. Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. So 22nd. What time would you want to like? What time? What part of that day?
I say 1 o'clock. So by 2 o'clock, we already, you see what I'm saying? Like 1 to 3. That way 2 o'clock be the middle. Even though it's a 2 hour event, them necessarily have to be, but them our parameters. You see what I'm saying? Tuesday. And we can just put together some ideas coming up to it, like something we really want to have. It might move around the corner by time. Who knows? But it's kind of like off your platform. We're doing something off your platform.
Okay. Yeah.
The Crescent and Taki presents. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that sounds real good. I can see that too. Yeah. I guess from that angle, I could present to them like knowing the difference between their feelings and their thoughts and how to use that that information within themselves to be able to like understand their own feelings and to be able to communicate with that. It's like a personal exercise you can do every day with any emotion that you come through, to be able to navigate through it, give you that tool. So that'll definitely be, that's empowering.
So now I'm excited about it. Cause I already know where I'm coming at. I'm coming from wisdom, water, woman. I'm showing them their place in the universe, their power and position in the universe, what they're supposed to do. The moon is responsible for the gravitational pull of the water on the earth,
Right.
keeping it at bay. But we also 70% water. So now look at the power that they possess.
Right.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So, but if you don't know that, you won't walk like that. You won't operate like that. You'll still drop your ass like a thigh rather than a queen. But if I show you that for yourself, now you charge with it.
Yeah.
I ain't got to worry about how I treat you. You charge with how you treat me.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, and all this coming from the moon watches like this the year of woman. What up, bro? Not just a year, but the millennium. Since it started with a 2. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at the number 2, it's represented by the number 2. You know, you got man is 1 and 3 is child.
Right.
But we on number 2. And number 2 is water, wisdom, woman. Oh shit. And 2 is secondary, but most necessary to 1. Wouldn't be 2 without a 1. Wouldn't be no moon without a sun. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't be no wisdom without knowledge. Wisdom is the execution of knowledge.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So now, if we focus on what this water is, 70% of the earth, which is the body. That gravitational pull that keep everything at bay. You see what I'm saying? But if you dysfunctional, or if you ain't thinking how you, all that shit, it's gonna be off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We all of it is esoteric wisdom. I mean, it's like once you understand the position, the moon position to the sun. Look, we also December 21st. Tomorrow is winter solstice. What is winter solstice? Winter solstice is the day that the moon is up the longest. This is the day that the moon dies, actually. It's up the longest amount of time that it's gonna be all year. If you notice before now, you can see the sun and the moon outside at the same time. Coming up to winter solstice, they gotta spend some time together, don't they? Okay, so now at winter solstice, if this is the longest time up of the year, whose power is that? What's exercised? What's moved? Who reigns? If we don't support that, then what do we do? Fall off. Because you cannot force the universe to do nothing. The numbers don't get off. We get off. But the numbers don't get off. The signs don't change. We might interpret them different, but if you look at from 19, from this, 19 is also a number woman. In 2019, women were persecuted from cupcake to the trafficking, the women trafficking that was real heavy. In 2020, women were exalted to their place. from sports to politics, women excel. In 2020, who opened the majority of the businesses that opened in our city alone? 70% of them was women. All these LLCs and pop-up shops are women, man. So now, 2021, what did women do? They continue to. But you saw the emergence of the strength in men bagging them.
Let me ask you this real quick on that comment you just made as far as women with businesses, which is a true statement. Do you feel that without a man in the picture, that business or that venture can thrive or truly have its full potential versus a man being in the picture?
There's always a man in the business. You know what they call a box moving. You see what I'm saying? She still can't do this stuff without it being
right there. But ones who feel like, well, I can do this on my own. I don't need no man. I got this by myself. Do you feel like that? Them in that aspect,
in
would it
this
thrive?
day and time, with these numbers that we looking at, yes, because the universe says it's their time, not man. Man, they never give them their time. From the 1900s all the way up to 2000, boss. We looking at the numbers of the universe. We ain't make them numbers up. That's wisdom complete. That go that Trinity you was talking about. You see what I'm saying? It's her turn, man. The last to be first, the first to be last, all that, it can pertain to a lot of stuff, but when we looking at the universe with the numbers, like, C, cipher, that's cipher. A circle is a cipher. But what a cipher is, C, I, power, her. To completeness, completion. What woman desire to do something and a king supports her and she fail? When a king supports you, you don't fail unless you truly not desiring what you projected that you desire. But a true woman in her true position, if a king supporting her, she win every time. So now if we not supporting them, we not in compliance with what the universe say. And so we gonna have our own struggles and own demise because we ain't synced up. We in self, we ain't synced up. Everybody say knowledge of self. Learning the true knowledge of self is knowing how to sync up and tap self into the universe. Because you are part of something major. It ain't a part of you. The signs and the symbols and all that is in you for your learning to see where you came from. But that's where I'm coming from. You see what I'm saying? On the whole scale, you going internal to get their mind right to receive that. Hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? You gonna need this, ain't you? Yeah. How you doing?
Got a question for you. So I clicked on something in Salesforce. I was ready to send Mike a copy of my one of my SMR
How you doing, Zaki?
Good. How about you today?
Great.
Good.
Before we get started, let me ask you something, because I noticed your Yoni B business. You ever thought about doing a commercial?
I have. I did two.
What do you advertise?
I advertise,
Keep leaving it on here.
of course, health and wellness for men and women, herbal healing for men and women, and children, of course, for everybody.
I mean, as far as like, do you advertise on YouTube? I know you do it on Facebook
Yeah.
and IG.
I use all platforms to put you know, on there. I just use all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram. What's that chat room? Oh, I can't think of it right now. Chat rooms and different social media platforms. Basis that
I'm just asking. I'm trying to get every black business I know to do commercials.
you know, so anyway that you do possibly know, let me know. And I go to different just to different spots, pass out my cards and different places that people, you know, that
See, let me
might
see.
be relatable. How have you been, my friend?
I can't complain. But there's really nothing to complain about. That's the beauty of it.
Taking you, I can't say the same. And I appreciate you for asking.
Oh, no problem. I mean, that's something that's very much needed. I don't know if you saw my picture. I made a hoodie and said, Black Yanni, the goddess fruit. I was like,
Oh, no, I didn't.
where one that you got that from? I'd be like, that's me, baby. That's all me. I made that.
Make sure I go check it out.
I done had so many females. I want one.
Please.
OPI. See, now you got me messed up. OPI. And I'll win.
And
I'll win. Opinion.
Yeah, definitely not only herbal healing. I do massage therapy as well too. I'm in school for it, so I can do it.
And I saw you. Your testicle Tuesdays and things.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, she got some out there for the men.
So if you ever want to come and check that out, let me know.
I'm all for it. And you're on the west side, aren't you?
Yeah, in the 5 Points West End.
Okay, cool, yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's a few businesses over there I pass by every day and didn't. It's a dog grooming house over there I did not even know existed.
Yeah, in the little.
Literally right by KFC on that same street before you get to Midfield.
Yeah, right in that area. I'm in the suite building. In that suite area, it's so many people in there. They do podcasts in there. I go in there and sit with them literally.
I was about to ask,
for
have you been on any
hours.
podcast telling them?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
cool.
They're from Atlanta.
Okay.
It's Jim and I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you
But
good.
yeah, I forgot the name of it. But they do podcasts in there. It's a big photography thing in there where they do like different images. Well, you know where you do the illusion images and stuff. They have that in there. Haircutting, women doing hair, women meditating, selling vegan food.
Gotcha.
So,
That's what's up. I was just black home.
yeah, it's a good experience coming in.
Taki, have you heard about the Black Wall Street in Atlanta? Definitely want to go check that out.
Did you ever watch the episode that I sent you, Zaki?
I still ain't got a chance to watch it yet. Said I gotta ride out of town today. I'm on play it while I'm on the road.
It was not really too much. It was just a funny episode of women taking shrooms and they experience. It was serious, but it was still funny.
I be weak when I be watching those things, man. Because I understand going through that process. I'm like, I know exactly how they be feeling.
They got up how I was getting up. I was like,
I be weak, man.
What is that, Taki? Right here at the bottom. I see drop.
Door.
Okay. I'll
Alright. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit and then I'm gonna chop it off on that. Alright, yeah, so peace and blessings.
You ready?
For coming in. Alright, so today the main focal point is me bringing attention to the learning and teaching style. Getting more detail into exactly what happens in the learning and teaching style of how we give information, which is the learning, and how we teach information, which is the giving. So I like to always go back to the first aspect. Everything comes from one. That oneness is always a duality, And that duality, which we are communicating today, is on thought and feeling, which we have thought as male, feeling as female, sun representing thought, the moon representing feeling. And these aspects are brought into what is called an opinion, which an opinion is told that is only one thing. An opinion is a duality aspect. So if somebody give you their opinion, if they're just giving you their thought, they technically didn't give you the opinion, they just gave you the thought. It's a duality aspect. So it's like me giving you a quarter without a back. You know what I'm saying? You got a back and a front. So when a person giving you their opinion, they have to give you their thought and their feeling, or vice versa. Or just the male principle goes this way. Thought first and feeling second. And female principle is feeling first and thought second. Yeah. So this is what is an opinion. So we're giving a person our opinion. It'll be to be able to keep up with the rotation of it. Is to use the labels correctly by saying, well, this is my thought, blase, blase, blase. This is my feeling, blase, blase, blase. Now you have successfully achieved an opinion. When you don't do it in that manner, what happens is a person ends up putting their feeling or their thought with it. So if a man is expressing his thought, the female or whoever he's communicating with is going to naturally put a feeling right there, because they know there's a duality. It's automatically magnetized. So in order to reserve your power, communicate your thought and your feeling, or as a female, communicate your feeling and your thought. So therefore, what part is a person disagreeing with you? Are they disagreeing with your thought, or are they disagreeing with your feeling? Which one is it? Because if we're not labeling this that, then we'll be communicating that I disagree with the person's feeling, but really what you are disagreeing with is the thought. So when we label it that way, then we have the ability to be able to express it better. So this is what I think, blase, blase, this is how I feel, blase, blase. Well, I disagree with the way you think about it, or I disagree with the way that you feel about it. So now we actually being more clear on it, because without that, I'm just saying, well, I feel like you're attacking my feelings. I feel like you're attacking my thought. You know what I'm saying? So we have to have the whole thing. So a lot of times when it comes to that opinion part, when expressing an opinion, we have to take time to make sure that we're giving both aspects their due. And a lot of times that's not happening, and this is where we have a lot of confusion coming in, because we're not being aware of the thought and the feeling. We're not labeling it as that. We just go in. I mean, without this knowledge, we just go in thinking the person actually knows that. So I'm giving you my thought, you're taking it as a feeling. So therefore, it's like, it's not registering with me, because I don't respect that, because that's not something that's tangible. Well, it's a thought. It don't supposed to be tangible. What is tangible is a feeling. So what is the feeling? What is something that can be tangible? All right, this is my feeling. All right, boom. Okay, I get that. All right, I see the untangible and the tangible. It makes sense. So I see the tangible and the untangible. It makes sense. That's your opinion. I can respect it. All right, so these aspects are broken down into the 4 aspects of ourselves, which is our learning, teaching, memory, and present moment. Today I'm be more so focusing on the learning and teaching aspect. When I'm saying teaching, I am referring to the way you give information, the function of it. You give information as teaching. If I ask you, if I don't know how you're feeling about something, and then I'm asking you, how do you feel about this? You're teaching me how you feel. That's giving. If I ask you, what do you think about something? You're teaching me what you think. So that's the teaching aspect. That's the giving part. Not saying technically I am a teacher, but everybody is teaching something, and everybody is learning, regardless of what aspect it is. If I walked in the room, depending on your teaching style and your learning style, what aspect of me walking in the room signifies to you. If you're probably an auditory learner, walking in the room would be the part of hearing a particular sound. The sounds that was made, or the conversation that came, will be more resonating with being able to attribute to the walking in the room. It's visual, maybe the body language, maybe the way you sit down, maybe the way this movement was. If it's feeling, it'd be the vibe, the vibe, the energy, you know what I'm saying? The way that mood was. If it's step by step, is showing why you chose to sit there instead of there, or open the door like that, all those. So it just depends. And what I'm saying is, on a person's learning style, that's the way that they receive. This is the part of the situation that is magnetizing to them. You may be teaching, I want to make sure that I come off like this, but then that person's learning style may not be that. So this is why I'm going more into that. So what is the teaching aspect? I call it, another word for that would be the door. The door is the way information comes in. The drop, which is the learning, is the way it's received. So I want to come up with some scenarios. All right, so let's say I have a visual teacher and an auditory learner. All right, so when you have a visual teacher, this is a person that life is going to show them. Life shows them things. It's about showing reaction. Life gives them a picture. This is the door. This is how it comes in. The information comes in this way. The drop on how it's received is from what it is that they saw, what is the value of it? That's the sound. That's what they're learning from it. So what life is teaching them, the visual aspect, but what they're actually learning from it is how to value it. You show me all of this, what's the value to? I have to be the one that I have to put value to whether this is of importance or not importance. You know what I'm saying, the how to communicate that. So I'm learning how to communicate it. What is being taught to me is the picture. This is how life is. This is the door. So a lot of times people will say, well, I'm a visual learner because that's the way the door, that's where the information comes in. So a lot of people get the teaching aspect as a learning aspect because information is entered that way. And from that end, a lot of times we associate that energy with learning, but the learning is actually the part that is like, learning is the energy. If we're just going to take the label off of it, learning is that aspect that just kind of comes in very smooth. Teaching is the impact. It's that impact. That's the teaching part. That's the impact. The learning part is, see how that's like moving? You know, that part, that's the aftermath. It's so smooth that you get more caught into the impact, but then you don't really pay attention to that part. It's so subtle. But that's the part that's being learned, and that's the drop. So a lot of times we'll get this part, the teaching aspect, as the way that we learn because it's so impactful entering in, but what is being taught is not actually what is being learned. So that's just like, that's an example of a visual teacher and an auditory learner. All right, so let's do a different one. All right, so listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. Now we have a step-by-step learner, step-by-step teacher, and we have a visual learner. So this person, the door, it comes in, what's teaching them is movements, patterns, cycles. Right? And what they learn from it is how to react to it. How it looks. Picture. Everything that's in movement. So this person, listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. So this person, life teaches them through the patterns, through the movement, through the cycles. It's always some type of pattern to everything. And what they learn from the patterns is how they actually see it. They turn it into a picture. All of this on this board was written in a pattern. But the visual learner learns from it is to turn that pattern into a picture. It's definitely a pattern. I can see the pattern. I can react to that pattern. But the way it came in was a motion. What I learned from that motion how to freeze it. All right. Just giving different scenarios to prove, to bring awareness to this point. You got a feeling, teacher, visual learner. So listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. The feeling learner has to get involved. Have to experience. Have to touch. Right? This is the door. And what they learn is how to see it. How to react. Right? So the invisible, well, what we call the feeling aspect will be the invisible. That's your experience. So that's a feeling that's coming in. Listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. So the teaching the door which comes in is always going to be impactful of the emotional content. The emotional content is what kicks in. The emotion doesn't have any visual representation. So the emotion comes in, and then the reaction, being able to turn that which is invisible to visible, is what that person, that visual person, is learning to do. How to be able to see that energy, how to be able to see that which is invisible and turn it into the feeling. Is a feeling that happened. I'm mad. Seeing, I can see this. It's visualized. Now it's visible, but in its introduction to it, it's that. Now I'm reacting to it. This is what I can see. I'm making it visible. So that's good, bad. That's any type of feeling. For example, like I say, I got this marker in my hand. I can see the marker in my hand, but I cannot see this feeling of this marker in my hand, the way it feels, the temperature, the hardness of it. That is not visible in this eyesight, but I can turn that into, and like, okay, boom, it's a marker. It's hard. I know markers tend to be hard. I can see my hands pressing against it, the coloration of it with the pressure, the height, if my hand doesn't like it's not heavy because I can see that it's not weighing down. I'm turning that feeling into a visual. So I'm saying, so the door that comes in is the experience, the involvement, the touch, and from that touch, this brings forth what I'm learning from that touch is how to see it. There's a look to it. It's a visual that comes in from that. That's a person that life teaches them through the experience, and they end up putting a picture to it. What was another one? What am I missing? Step by step. All right, so let's do, all right, step by step teacher, or life teaches them through steps in the auditorial learner. Listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. This person learns through the cycles, like we said earlier. They learn through the cycles and the patterns. And from that pattern, they learn the value of it. Each pattern has a value. It's a particular value that happens with that. So this person is learning through the patterns, and what they're doing is turning that pattern into a value. It's a certain value. This was a stronger pattern. It had longevity. The time period on this was 80 years. So we know with anything operating in this 80-year cycle, if you're in the beginning of that, you're gonna go through a lot of that, but guarantee you it's so long ahead, you got a lot of time to play around, make a lot of mistakes, because it's an 80-year cycle till you get to the end. No matter what you do, it's 80 years. Versus this cycle, which is a 10-year cycle, we're like, you probably need to take this a lot more serious because this cycle ends quickly. So get as much as you can in it before. So what I'm communicating is the value. The value of the cycles is a value to it. Sound represents the value. A person is having a conversation with a person, and it may be about, are you going to do this? You're going to do that. You're not doing this when this person said this, and then last time this happened. That's the cycles. The value of it is that simply it's just back and forth. That's the value of it, right? Okay. did all of them. All right, so what am I missing? I know I'm missing. All right, so we got a auditorial teacher, feeling learner. All right, listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. This is a person that learns through the value teaching them. Sound is everything is the value, the general, what we'll call generalization of things. This is the value of what it is. Go to school, go to work. That's the value. What that person learns from that value is the experience of going to school, going to work. You know what I'm saying? So like this is the value of it, but the experience is this. I'm gonna learn how I felt, the feelings of it, what I could actually touch and get involved in it. The words couldn't carry. So the value system was being taught is this is the principles of life. This is what we call like the principles. You go to school, you get a job, you take care of your family. That's the value. What that person learns from that value is how to experience that, how to actually get involved with that value. So they're learning how to feel. They're learning how to touch it. They're learning how it makes them feel. They're learning how sadness, all this comes from that which they hear. So pretty much what is being heard gives a feeling to them. They turn the sound into a feeling. Make sure I covered every one of them. So, okay. I know how to do it now. Took a minute for me to get it. All right. Listen to this process, experience this process, organize this process, watch this process. A step-by-step teacher, life teaches them through the patterns, and then they're feeling learning. So once again, we have the cycles. Everything's a cycle. It's broken down in patterns. The cycles is movement. And each one of those movements gives an experience. If this, like we were saying earlier in the other one that's auditorial, they put the value to it, so they're gonna, those movements is a 10-year cycle or 3-year cycle, whatever like that. The experienced person is gonna be the one that 10-year cycle came with a longer period of some type of emotion. So long it was able to be tangible and being able to experience. So that pattern, you're only going to be able to feel sad for so long. When this happens, you're going to feel sad for this long. When this happens, you're going to feel happy for this long. Or you have the multitude within this step right here, or this pattern, to have 2 different emotions in a 10-year time period. That's simply it. So they're learning how to turn the pattern, something that's in motion, into something to get involved. So this ring around the rosies, you seeing that pattern goes around, that horse come around like this. That's the pattern. Now every time that pattern hit around, you got to get on it. You get on the ride. You win it now. You know what I'm saying? Now, boom, you throw it off. You're like, okay, well, I was once on it, so I wasn't on the outside looking at it. I'm actually experiencing that cycle. Then that cycle ended, and everybody got to get off into the next go round. And you see how much, you experience how much money is spent in order to do it, how much energy it took, how everybody's probably aggravated because you keep getting on it. All that, you turn that process into an experience. You learn how to experience that process. All right. So any questions so far? Watch this process. This is one of the difficult aspects to communicate, because what makes teaching this complicated is because there is no literature for this type of information that we are existing, because when we're using words like teach and receive and give, is associated with surface level talking. So we're trying to communicate a deeper aspect of things that happen using the terminologies that represent surface terminologies. So a person may say, man, you know what I'm saying, you got to go deep within yourself, you know what I'm saying? All right, so then this is actually going deep within yourself, but you could say go deep within yourself, and that just means love, but it's not associating with this right here, which is actually deep. So now we have to use you're going deep within yourself to associate information that there's no literature for. So we have to learn how to create literature to communicate that which we are truly trying to communicate in a surface level,
but we don't have the arrangement of words in order to communicate that, because those words represent surface things instead of this aspect. So that's what we're pretty much doing. So we go back to the teaching and learning. When you're so that's another thing. All right, so we got learning and memory connected to the same thing, right? I put L here, memory here. So we got learning here, memory here. Now this one we got teaching here, and present moment. The present moment is where you're getting is really what it is that's sending out your teaching information. And so the teaching information is going through the present. So your present moment is the part that you're most unaware of. So you got this most unaware part, which is your present moment, shooting information here that's teaching you. Once it's teaching you, boom, that teaching sends it straight to here, right? And when it sends straight to your learning aspect, it's triggering you to go into memory, and your memory is always derived from here, the present moment. But because you're unaware of this aspect, you're unaware of this aspect, it's teaching it to you. So it's already in existence, but when it comes to the learning aspect of it, you're retrieving from your memory that which would now be the past, which is really the present moment. This is what we're calling the learning aspect. This is what that whole curve is. So the present moment, watch this process that you're unaware of, yet you're unaware, but you are aware of it, because you have to, everything comes from this. So this is being taught to you in whatever teaching style it's teaching you in. And when it's teaching it to you, you're turning it into something to be learned from. But when you're saying that you're learning from it, what's really being triggered is your memory. And what is your memory of? This, which is behind you. That's the energy that's working. Watch this process. Like I say, it's hard to produce the literature in order to communicate this, because there's no literature for what we're communicating right now. This first time really being able to hear it being put in some type of literary form. Though I can draw it easily, the literature of it is definitely harder to come up with. But we can see the visual of it. The present moment, you're always in the present moment. You cannot exist without the present moment. But there's a lot of your present moment you're not aware of. That present moment is always teaching. This is what you call it, like your awareness of it. Some aspect of it is teaching you. When it's teaching it to you, you're going to learn from it. And what that learning is connected to some type of memory. Something that had happened, which was still that. Let me know if I'm getting confusing. Right now I'm just communicating the energy, the way these energies work. We call these things by different labels, but this is pretty much how this whole thing is working.
I'm definitely with you.
So the past, what I'm communicating is the past part, which we call thinking, is the past, and in the future. The past is all we're really communicating. But the past is really this present moment. It's just we can't really communicate this part. Unless you're an auditorial present, then yeah. But it's not really being communicated, it just has a sound. So, alright, I want to get real personal now. I really want to bring it home. Alright, so got two examples. Visual learner, feeling teacher, step by step, and what's step by step? Was you step by step memory, or was it auditorial memory?
It was yeah. You're right.
Step by step.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. It just hit me too. It hit me later. Yeah, I heard when you said you were out. I felt it because you like, you're right. Yeah, it's thinking then because it's cyclical. All right, boom. And visual, feeling, what that in? Same thing. Okay, well, that's done. I messed it up. Well, it makes sense. All right, so we got same type of learners. All right, so yeah, let's make it easy. All right, listen to this process, organize this process, experience this process, watch this process. The value is in the present moment. Present moment is always value. Well, guess what? You know that value because that value shoots you right into this present, right into this teaching style where it gives you an experience, right? When it gives you that experience, boom, you get that experience and you turn it into something that can be seen. And what is it that you're seeing is all derived from this part right here, which was of the past, which is just a representative of that present value. That's it. That's how it's working. That makes sense? Okay.
So what if you realize, what if you are acknowledging these steps in a conversation, and it's not comprehending to the, well, not really comprehending, but you are trying to get this information across, not really teaching this, but teaching this style in the conversation that we had, but the person is not receiving the information in this way.
So you said you're teaching it, so that means you're giving the experience.
I'm expressing my thought and my feeling in the way that I learn, in the way that I receive, that I teach and learn, and in my past and in my present, I'm acknowledging all four aspects, but it's still not, making sense to the person, if that makes any sense. I'm acknowledging their teaching and learning aspect as well too, but it's still it's still not communicating, if that makes it. Well, we're still not translating. We're communicating, but still not translating in a way.
So, all right. So what's happening is, all right. So in that process, watch this process. Is their learning style being addressed at the forefront of the conversation?
No.
Okay. So that's the first step. That's all right. So now, all right. So I get it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So it's like, okay, so let me break down the steps on how to actually do that. All right, so the first step, what was time looking like? All right, so the first step is address that learning style.
Okay, because when I did try to practice this, it wasn't not comprehending, but it wasn't translating. So I ended up going back into my old way of expressing the conversation, and it just didn't go right.
Yeah.
I caught myself. I was like, okay, that didn't go how I expected, but I learned out of it. So
watch this process. That was part of your thinking, because you're step-by-step thinking, and this the part of that we have to be aware of when you're a step-by-step thinker, is that anytime you're learning something, which from what you see, it's going to have to be cyclical. It's time. So it's like you're going to have to keep repeating. You're going to bump your head a lot of times in the process again, because that is where that's just your memory style. So you're going to have to repeat it. You got to build a repetition of it. And when that repeats, you're going to say, okay, in that repetition I was using it, but then I reverted back. That's a process. So now that's in your memory. So now then you got to do it again. What happened when I did it then? So that's the part. You have to make peace with that part of yourself. It's just a piece of it, you know what I'm saying? But that's how you store memory. So that's just what you do in order to strengthen your logic. You gotta making peace with it. And nothing wrong with what you're doing. You're doing it right. That's just the steps. It's like it's all about time, and it's like, okay, it's gonna click to you when you get to the 18th step. Well, I know you wanted to click on the first and the third, but it's already a timer set within your memory on what particular number of tries things connect and it become all the way visible. It's up to you to keep stacking it to enough detail of what we call the picture. Enough information and detail comes into that picture where now you can see it. But when you first did the blue line, like, I don't know what you're drawing. Yeah. Put the circle, like, I still ain't getting it. But after so many steps, the picture comes. So it's like making peace with that aspect of accepting, like, this is the logical part.
Yeah, literally.
So watch this process. The first thing is address the learning style. The learning style is whatever symbol is at the bottom. So if they're visual, you'll say watch. If they're auditory, you'll say listen. If they're an involved person, you'll say experience. If they're step by step, you'll say organize. Address the learning style first. Always be able to put a person before yourself. The only way you can do that is by addressing their learning style. And all you have to do is simply just say the key word, what they would call mantra, that triggers a magnetic pull on them. That's first step.
It's something women, well, females would definitely have to practice with self because, like I said, like everybody know with feeling, we be so ready to tell you what we feel, we forget to say that.
Right. So experience. Well, watch this process. With that being part of the women's natural, the element of what the feeling. This is all engulfed in the feeling truth, right? You truly want a person to understand how you feel, then know that in order for it to achieve that, there is a correct way of doing it. There is a feeling. We know there is we're talking feeling language now. So watch this process. Is there a different feeling from feeling right and feeling wrong? Or is there a wrong feeling? There's a right feeling. Have you ever felt wrong before? And you know you felt right before? So you know there is a difference in those two energies. So therefore, if you want a feeling to be expressed right, then before delivering it, we have to accept that I have experienced a right and a wrong feeling. So therefore, what is the right that I have to project first? Because that's a lot to it. And the right will always be, I want you to feel where I'm coming from, but I have to make sure that I go meet you where you are. And where I meet you at is where you learn. So I want to leave out of this door. That's a door and that's a door. One of those doors leads to outside. The other door leads to the closet. You cannot go to the door that leads to the closet and wanting it to be outside. There's a right and a wrong feeling. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is making that become visible. And even if it's not visible, organize it, watch this process because it's step-by-step memory. Just remember the pattern. One of these patterns is 4 doors you have to travel through in order to get a person to feel you. Either they're gonna watch how you feel, they're gonna listen to how you feel, they're gonna experience how you feel, or they're gonna arrange how you feel. You don't have no control over that. But you can, all you have to do is address it. So if you tell a person, watch how I want you to watch how I feel. Can you see through their eyes how they seeing it? So still it limits you to be like, as much energy you really want them to, you still can't see how they feel receiving it. I want you to hear how I feel. You can't get in their body and hear so it's still showing there is a barrier of limitation. Even with as much power we want it to be like all the way, you're still not in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a door. That's a door. So
and that's where my actual logic thought went out the window. It went from logical thinking to now I feel like I gotta go.
Facts.
Because you're not listening.
Facts. Which not listening meant that you went into the emotion.
Yeah.
Because your feeling, your present moment is sound.
Yeah.
When you go in the
Just thinking
emotional
about
process,
all how I felt at the time. Just that. Nothing else matter at all, just that.
just the value of it right now. Just only the value. Which like I say, that's normal because that's just the energy of the feeling. That's the feeling energy. The thing is, implementing an exercise that as strong as the feeling is, to be able to have this a part of the feeling. So it's like this is what the feeling now, and that just comes from practice. Second is present your teaching style. Your teaching style is yours is
Mine is feeling.
Feel. All right. So experience. So you'll be feeling, or if you're an involved person, if you're visual, it'll be view. If you're auditorial, it'll be sound. If you're movement, it'll be process. So first, address a person's learning style. Then secondly, present your teaching style. This is even before you even give any information. Any expression is like, this is what is called the door. This is the door. Build your door first. Watch this process. Listen to this process. Experience this process. Organize this process. I have presented the door. You will be, watch this experience. Listen to this experience. Watch this feeling. Listen to this feeling. Experience this feeling. Organize this feeling. That's your door. No matter who you talk to, if you say that, and knowing that you're feeling, you created the door. They're one of these four. When you say it, whatever they are, it's going to trigger them. When you say if they're visual and they see or watch, they ain't studying, listen, experience, and organize. They just they just magnetizing there because you put it in the pattern. Each word that you're saying has the same energy behind it, so it's not one that's more important, but whichever one is their style, magnetize. So all you got to do is just in the beginning, watch this feeling, listen to this feeling, experience this feeling, organize this feeling. Tapped in already. Now, what it is that you want to present, because now you have the door to open and now anything can flow through. So that is how you put someone accurately before yourself. Addressing their learning style, presenting your teaching style. We have to try not to be long-winded with it. It's the key, because everybody's the attention span is different. So then we're getting into the breathing of being confident in your ability to say what has to be said with very few words. So watch this process, listen to this process, experience this process, organize this process. Creating a door gives you a correct way to deliver a message. All right. So I think that, okay, so pretty much watch this process. That was just answering that part that you were communicating. Like, how do you actually do that? This is the first step. So now you can put that inside of the memory, you know what I'm saying? And just try that out. You know what I'm saying? And then we come back to the drawing board, you know what I'm saying? But it has to be, it's like, it's everything is an order to things. So that's the order. So
even you answering this question, you answered the first question that I had, actually answering the question, and it's not even just the learning style of how the other person translated what I was communicating. It was really me accepting my learning style.
Boom. Yeah, that's the experience, man.
Because me bumping my head, I continuously have to do that, and I didn't accept that I want to go. I don't want to keep bumping my head, but now I'm at a stage where, you know what, I'm cool with bumping my head. I'm going to just sit here and be like, cool. You know?
Exactly.
Because I'm learning down here, so I'm good.
Exactly. And watch this process. At what part where did the information come from that we wasn't supposed to bump our head as part of the learning? So it's like we're trying to eliminate and critique how it's supposed to be, but it's like, well, where were you told not to bump your head in
Now
this?
it don't even feel like a bump. It just feels like, I learned.
Facts. Now, experience, watch this process. Now we're communicating what I was saying, the literature.
Now I'm blessed, because now I got mental wealth.
Exactly. And that's the key. That becomes the aspect of it of watch this process. When you're like me, I'm auditorial. So when a person's talking, like when you talk, I know you teach experience. So what I say to myself, listen to the experience. So when you're talking, I turn it into it's sound being turned to experience. So it's like I let go of myself through sound, and I'm able to accept the experience, because I can't critique your experience. I only can fully accept, like, how is it when you was experiencing. I go into this it's not visual for me. It's just like how you teaching it. Imagine, empathy. You know, putting myself in another person's shoes. Now I'm like, I'm experiencing what you're experiencing. Every way you communicating it, boom, boom, boom. That aspect when it hit there and it did that, I'm feeling that. So I'm like, oh, okay, boom, I got it. I get exactly. So it's being able to accept that. You know what I'm saying? Being free, not being afraid.
And that experience alone changed my way of living, the way you accepted my teaching or the way I express myself. That changed the way I think and the way I react to other people too. You changed my way of living that way because I got a chance for that younger person to be heard, if that makes any sense. Because growing up, a lot of older people are stuck inside of the child trying to be heard. That's why we be so forced on I know other than just listening. We listen to speak other than listening to understand. And that's why, because we want that child to be heard, and you listen. You try to understand where it comes from other than just saying like I know where it's coming from. You're like, okay, where is this actually coming from? And now I learn to see that in other people when they communicate with me, like where is this actually coming from other than just speaking like you don't know what's going on. Where is this coming from? And thank you for putting it in my memory.
Watch this process, no problem. And what you just communicated, what we label as the child, and truly it is that, because we come into this world not being able to communicate like this, so we're told who we are. So then it compromises that, and we grow up still knowing that this is truly an essence of me, and I never experienced being able to be really what is called understood, and that's just that energy where you're communicating to the person, and you know when it just like it resonates. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to feel that resonation, you know. And watch this process. This gives you the ability to have that with everybody, and gives you in the aspects of what we would call wrong. Now it ain't wrong no more. It's like now you understand that this is part of the steps. It's part of it. This goes with it, and you can accept it. And when you accept it, then it's another level of awareness that come in. Like, dang, it really wasn't even that. So now you're able to put a better wording on what you were labeling it as that actually communicate, well, really translate that. And it's just now you're tapping into how to deal within self now, because now it reveals that. You're like, okay, this is self. This is really going within. This is what that is now. Now I'm actually communicating with that. I can actually apply that now.
And that's why I labeled it as a child. Because, yeah, that's why I labeled it as a child. Because when we started to communicate, I actually started to feel like I was getting older again. I always felt like I was old. I felt like the inside, eternally, I was getting older because you acknowledged what I didn't grow in. So I felt like I was getting older, like I was growing.
Right.
I was like, this body is connecting to my spirit body, or, in the age that I've already been here in my lessons.
Man, watch this process. That's a blessing, to be able, like, I'm saying, where's the literature communicating this part of life? And we go through this, but we'll go and have conversations with people, and we try. This is what we're really communicating. But it's like, oh, everything's fine, everything's good. It's just, going through a couple of things. I've learned a lot, it's been some ups and downs. But you really trying to communicate that, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, why ain't nobody, you ain't really understand, you know what I'm saying? Then we get frustrated because we don't have the literature communicating that, which is, and by understanding the laws on how to give and the placements, now you actually can articulate, and now you can really adjust, and now you in control of that steering wheel. Now you can navigate it. You're like, okay, well, a person may say, well, you can't tell me what to do. Watch this process. With sound, I can tell you what to do, because sound is free. There's no limit to what a person can or cannot say. Sound does not make you do something, though. Physical getting involved makes things stop. I haven't done that. So what you're really trying to communicate is, I can't physically get involved and but I can say whatever. But that's the sound of the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now you're able to articulate, and you communicate with a person like, okay, you're not communicating me on sound, you're communicating me on an involvement. Why?
is it that you feel that way toward what I'm saying now? You know what I'm saying? What is that? So now we can really communicate on what is really being communicated.
That process, I was like all over the place because I realized, and I was like, okay, now I'm reacting to the feeling. Now I'm actually putting myself into what they said. Now I'm interacting with it. Now it's a problem. Now it's actually a problem other than us just expressing and departing. Now we're physically interacting. Now this is actually something nothing turned into something. If that makes sense.
Nothing into something which everything comes from. And everything that something is operating up under. I think I'm spelling that right. Probably be deceased.
Yeah.
I may have spelled it wrong. But everything has a birth, a maturity, and a decease. That's cycles. So it's a cycle, step by step truth. Through those cycles, you're going to end up getting involved in this feeling that's going to come from that. And from those feelings, there is a value. And that value can be seen or shown or reacted to. All of this coincides together. But in totality, all of that comes from nothing, which comes into something. So yeah, and
So all of it is just put into just simplest form of we are God, because God creates, and we're creating nothing out of something.
all the time. And that's what this is designed to do, is to be able to connect and communicate with the God in you. Instead of just saying I just having to talk with God, you're just not talking. Watch this process in steps, because God is accuracy. So it's a step. He created a day and a night. That's steps. He created up and down. These are steps. But also he eliminates steps by just saying you have a body, and even though your heart is on a certain rhythm and beat and blood's going on, you like, shoot, I feel good. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking. You know what I'm saying? And disregard for the cycle. And he can disregard that process of the feeling. Just go into everything visual. You just can simply see. You can't see yourself. So I'm like, why you looking like that? You have no clue how you looking. You know what I'm saying? But it's an aspect you can only see. So that's why the visual aspect, when it comes to the visual aspect of life, is really, you're not being able to see self. You're only seeing the way things are reacting. So that's why I say visual a lot of times it's a picture or reaction, because you can't see your actual involvement in the whole situation. You don't know the way your facial expression is looking or the way you just see how things is reacting to you. So that's why visual people like, man, I need you to show me, because everything from their end everything is outside. An experienced person is like, man, I'm involved. I'm in this thing. So I can't see outside this thing, but I know I'm in it. You know what I'm saying? Auditory is, man, I ain't got to see it. I ain't trying to touch it. I'm straight just moving. Let me hear how well you can put it. If you can say it, then I know that you know what you're talking about. And that's all I need to know, that you know what you're talking about, because it registers that way. Step-by-step person, like, the way you present it, your breakdown got to make sense. Why you super hyper in the beginning, but then at the end you not? I don't know, man. What's your agenda? You know what I'm saying? So pretty much today, the whole primary focus was getting more detail into the learning style and the teaching style, to show how they operate, to show why we get the confusion into how the energy that we call learning, which is actually teaching, and how the learning aspect is such a subtle receptive part of it, that it kind of it could get seen as learning, as teaching, but it's really learning. They work hand in hand. And then how the energies work into how your present moment shoots the energy into what is being taught you, how life teaches you from what you're already existing in. It teaches you an aspect of that aspect you learn from it, but what you're learning connected to this part, your memory, which is only the past representation of the present. For example, say you talk about anything that's happening right now. It already passed, so you're still gonna be talking later. You know what I'm saying? You got to trigger in your mind or some aspect of where I'm pulling from that aspect, but it's already gone. The
feeling is present, true enough, the experience is actually present, but it's like, it's so present that you don't have to say anything. You know what I'm saying? You don't, just listen, you know. You hear it, but just as you hear it, it's passing. So it's like you can't, so at some part, you got to go into the feeling of it to teach you. You know what I'm saying? And from that part that you involved in, then you have to slow that down to a fraction to be seen. And that part that you slowing down is coming from the movement of the memory of some event. And then this is what's being taught as the experience to pull from. Hopefully that makes sense.
It did.
So, yeah, so pretty much going into those. So hopefully, I hope that brought some clarification into the teaching, what I label as teaching and learning. The function of it is the energy of give. The function of the learning aspect is receive, which we call one electrical, one magnetic. And how, also bringing awareness to how to bring this information, how to create a door, call this the door, which is addressing a person's learning style and then presenting your teaching style before even delivering the information, doing that first. And yeah, so communication and translation, Taki and Coffee. Thank you for coming in. Peace and blessings.
Good. And my cousin come back the next time.
Oh yeah.
I showed her my videos of my live. Come back, we was talking about our own learning styles, and ooh, I'm so grateful. And